Georgia Tech transfer Duncan Powell in the portal, getting some interest. Kentucky, Providence, TCU, Ole Miss, all in the mix. But Riley Memphis is also in that mix. He's on a visit to Memphis. They've been the ones most eager to pursue him. It looks like, but versatile, 6'8", 235 pound forward who could play the inside, could play some on the perimeter. I know you're a big fan of Powell's game, so what should any of these schools know about Powell and what he could potentially bring to the table, other than an awful haircut?
I mean, he is a bucket first and foremost. Like, just go back and see what he did in the ACC tournament game against Duke when he dropped 24 on them, hit six threes, and even over like the last 11 games, once Georgia Tech inserted him into the starting lineup, he averaged 16 points per game, shot 37% from three, grabbed five boards a game. So it's like it's not just the bucket getting. He's pretty solid on the glass as well. But yeah, it really is like the over the second half of the season, he scored 20 points or more in six games, which I think it shows that like that 16 he gives you a solid floor of scoring, but there also is the potential that he can get hot from three and have a bigger scoring night. So I just like the way he plays. I mean, he's good as a spot up threat. He has a bit of an old man game to him as well, where he can back you down. Like if you put a smaller guard or a wing on him, he's just like pretty well built, can back you down and score in the post too. And ultimately, Ralph, I absolutely love this potential fit at Memphis. I hope that's where he ends up.
What about it makes it perfect in your eyes?
So if you think about like this last Memphis team and the success with transfers it had, PJ Haggerty, it might sound crazy now, but he wasn't like this highly sought after transfer. Maybe he's a little bit more than I'm remembering, but there were still plenty of questions around him because it was like this guard from Tulsa, from a really bad Tulsa team that, I mean, Haggerty started out at TCU, didn't he? And like
Hmm.
couldn't crack the rotation there. Like, yeah, you hadn't seen him do it at the high major level, and then on top of it, seemed kind of like a free throw merchant. Turns out that like he still got to the line a ton, but was way more versatile, way more of a potent scorer than you expected. And then you look at guys like Dane Danger and Tyrese Hunter, who were I view them as almost these cast-offs who went really undernoticed and became really productive players under Penny. It's almost like he might thrive with some of these under the radar guys who are older, have a chip on their shoulder or whatever. And I mean, with Powell, he started out at NC A&T, then
Hmm.
played at Sacramento State, transferred to Georgia Tech last minute last year, and it took a while for him to get his feet wet moving up from the Big Sky to the ACC, but he was really productive when he started getting the minutes. I just think it bodes favorably for a Memphis team that should they get him like that has had success with this kind of transfer before.
It's rare you see guys transfer up and get more productive than they were at lower levels. Right? He was a marginal player for NCAA, upped his game at Sacramento State, which is a good fit, but then upped his game, upped his efficiency again at Georgia Tech, which is not something you expect to see with taking that step up. Was playing the best basketball of his career towards the end. If Memphis is not the destination, let's say it's one of the other four, Kentucky, Providence, TCU, or Ole Miss, which Ole Miss may or may not depend on if Chris Beard stays there or not. But which of those four do you think make the most sense for him if he were to go to one of those instead of Memphis?
Ole Miss to me, like he seems kind of like a tailor-made replacement for either Jamin Brakefield or Dre Davis. Take your pick as sort of those like bigger scoring wings who may have some inconsistencies. That probably is like the biggest knock on his game. Shot selection could be a little bit better. Again, if you even go back and rewatch that game against Duke in the ACC tournament, it was like Dunk, I love your energy, man. Love it. Glad you got us here. But just because you you don't need to start pulling contested threes just because you made a couple. You don't need to maybe don't need to shoot them as early on in the shot clock as you did. Um,
Nobody
to
thinks it's Duncan Powell time more than Duncan Powell.
That's part of why I love him though. And I think Duncan Powell is legitimately good. You probably do need a more like defined role for him. And like with both, I mean, I could see him fitting in at Kentucky too. Like to me, if you let me think. So who all has coached him? So Damon Stoudemire coached him. David Patrick coached him at Sac State. I don't know who was the coach at A&T, but I think Pope would pretty clearly be the best coach he's ever played for should he go to Kentucky. And like going to an offensive guru like that, who like coaches a 3-point happy system, I actually think that
Mhm.
could be a lot of fun. Where like Pope, I would trust to maximize Duncan Powell time more than any other coach. Because like Pope will put up with it a little. Like Pope can harness it when I mean, we are obviously aren't really ever going to get to see it, but Pope probably could have harnessed it when it was Kirk Reese time. Like he harnessed
Yeah.
it, he harnessed when it was Lamont Butler time. Like I think he can do the same with Duncan. But yeah, I think as far as a role goes, he fits like a Jamin Brakefield role really well at Ole Miss as well.
Yeah, I like that. I could see him at TCU or at Providence, like those fits in high up tempo systems, playing for coaches let you have a little bit more freedom on offense. Both of those make sense, but considering where this guy was at Sac State, just 18 months ago, pretty good glow up for Duncan Powell here, and no shortage of options.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.